this lecture, we want to have a look at what type of transformations we can apply on numerical columns. But before we do this, we want to go one step back. Because you remember in these columns, we have used a whole number as the data type. And if we go one step back, we see that this has previously been just 13.5 or 32.5. And if we apply the step or the data type whole number, it will actually just round the number. Sometimes this might be okay, but if we want to have the real correct value, then we need to choose also, if we want to keep all of those decimal places, the data type decimal number. So therefore, I will now change it. I go to change type, and now instead of whole number, I use actually decimal number. And then again, we are asked if we want to replace this, which is very important, because otherwise we would just get 14.0, because we would just add this additional step on top. Therefore, I will select replace current. And then it is a decimal number. But now, if we want to apply those numerical operations, we can see if we, for example, select this column, and then we go to transform. We remember under transform, we also had the text transformations, and now next to it, we also have the number columns. If we have a column that is not a numerical column selected, for example, the type, then we see that those steps are just grayed out. So we can't use them because the data type is here not a numerical one. And if I now go to length, I could, for example, use these statistics. But to be honest, those are, I never use them because this is just giving us some information, but it's not really helping us to clean the data usually. So for example, if I go to sum, this will just create this single value, so it is only the complete sum of this whole column, and therefore we usually never need this because what can we do with this single number? Therefore I will just remove this step, and now we want to do something that is more interesting. So we go again to transform, and now we have this standard, and in here we have now some just calculations. We could add, for example, one value like 100. And then this will be added to all of those values. If I again remove this, I can see how it was before. And in this case, we want to multiply it because let's say we want to convert it into inches. Then we can just select this column. We choose multiply. And now we just need to know the factor to convert this into inches. So this is 0.394 roughly. And I click on OK, and then it will be converted. So you see now we have these new values. But of course, in our case, we don't want to do this. We want to leave it at the centimeters. But now we have also this scientific, and in here we can, again, this is very similar to the standard operations, but we have just something that is a different type of operation. For example, we can create a logarithm, we can take the square root, and so on and so forth. So these are the number operations. And now in the next lecture, since we have done now a lot of steps, we actually want to get some insights. And we want to now use those tables together. Because now that we have this product table and we have those categories, we would like to know how many sales we had in each of those categories. So which category is the one where we have most of the sales? This means we need to get information from both this table and also our sales table. For this, we need to work on our data model. And now that we've already made a lot of data cleaning, we would like to get some insights out of our data. We would like to find out, let's go to the product hierarchy table, in which category we had the highest revenue. So the revenue comes from the sales table. Here we have the revenue. And this means we need to get information from two different tables. First from the sales table, the revenue, and then from the product hierarchy table, the category. And of course, we can make this connection by using, in this case, the product ID. In both of these tables, this product ID is available. In the product hierarchy, we see every product has a product ID. And also the sales table, every order has also a product ID associated with it. So let's see if we are able to make this connection and how the data model is important in this. First of all, let's click on Close and Apply. And we can also just remove this visual just by selecting it, clicking on it, and then pressing the remove button on our keyboard. And now we want to create a new visual. So we want to visualize category and revenue in one graph. We can use, in this case, when we are in the home ribbon, this stacked column chart. So let's just select it. And now when we go to data, we see that there is the product hierarchy. We can expand it, and there we have the category. So in this case, we can just drag and drop the category into this graph, and it is now visible. So we have just this label. This means that if we go to this build a visual section, we can select it. And if you don't see this, you can always just go to view and you can just enable it. So you can just select build a visual and it should appear then in this right side. So now when we select this build a visual, we see the categories in the x-axis. Also now in the y-axis, we can get the revenue. So we can do this, for example, by clicking here on add data, and then I can just search for revenue. And then I will just select it, and then I see it appears in our graph. There's another way to do this. So first of all, let me quickly remove that again. That is to just right click on the data, and then I say open in a new pane. In my opinion, this is a little bit more intuitive. I prefer to work like this because then I can see them both next to each other. And in this case, I can just expand the sales. I can also search for the revenue. So we know it is here, but I could just also search for it and then drag and drop it. In my opinion, this is a bit more intuitive. So I can just go and drag and drop it, and then it appears in this visual. But now the problem is that everything seems to be the same, which it doesn't make a lot of sense. So this can't be true. And this is usually an indication of the fact that in the data model, the relationship is not working properly, or it is not even established at all. So let's have a look now, therefore, into the model view, where we can establish and have a look at this data model. So in this case, we can click on it and we see these are our three tables. We can just drag and drop them and just drag them around in here. And we would like to focus, of course, on the sales and the product hierarchy. The first step would be to identify the common columns. In our case, we have already identified the product ID. This is usually what we are also using this table view for, because in here we can just have a look at all of the data. So we see in this table there's the product ID, and also if we select not the product hierarchy but the sales table, that there's also this product ID. Like this, we can identify those are the columns that we need to use to establish this relationship. So if we want to establish this now, we can just drag and drop the column, in this case product ID, onto the other column. And it doesn't really make a difference whether we drag it from this table to the other one or the other way around. It is always exactly the same. So let's just drag and drop it from one table onto the product ID of the other table. And then after 1 or 2 seconds, this relationship is established. And we talk more about this relationship, how this works, what are the different types later on, what are the settings and so on. For now, we just see the relationship is established, and we can now have a look back into the report view. So let's click on it, and now we see, voila, now we see it is working. We have now this relationship that is now really associating those tables. And now we can identify that this category, in our case, snacks and branded foods, is the top category in terms of the revenue. And now it's time again to practice what we've learned and implement this in a little practice project.
Thanks for watching the video till the end. Please leave your thoughts below so we can discuss more about the topic. If you'd like to suggest a video that could help the community, feel free to message me on X or Instagram. We also share short videos on Instagram, so make sure to follow us there. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and might even create a video based on your suggestion. Thanks again for being part of our community. See you in the next video.